time to be a hero. Yes, good morning. It is that time of the week again, fitness fragrance review time, and thankfully the weather is looking slightly better forecast than it did yesterday. It chucked it down yesterday. There is a bit of rain forecast, but we should be fine to do our review today. And what are we looking at? We are looking at this one. We are looking at Hero by Fragrance Kingdom. Yes, I've done a sort of few reviews of these ones now. I did Bleu de Parfum, obviously a Bleu de Chanel clone. I've done 1 billion, which is obviously a clone of 1 million. But this one, I'm not really sure what it's meant to clone. It says Hero. It obviously looks like a Versace Eros kind of design bottle. I'm assuming it's going to be something along those lines. I've tried to Google it. I've tried to find out. There's nothing particularly there. So I'm looking forward to just reviewing this one kind of in its own right today, rather than thinking, oh, it's got to smell exactly like this. But if you haven't seen a fitness fragrance review before, essentially I'm going to do a morning workout. So I'm going to go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, all while wearing this fragrance. And we'll rank it on 5 categories. We'll look at its price slash value for money, its versatility, its projections, how much you notice in it during my run. We'll also do a room spray test where I'll see how much this fragrance fills up a room. Compliment factor, do I think people say nice things about it? And its longevity, so essentially I'll spray my arm before I go to the gym, do my work, have my shower. Can we still detect the fragrance after? So what I'm going to quickly do is reapply this one, and I'm going to sort of talk about what I can detect, because I couldn't find any real note breakdown for this one either. This is normally the point I'll go through a long list of note breakdown, but actually there isn't really anything out there for this one. It's so cheap, and actually it looks like it's only really eBay. You can buy a lot of these fragrances, particularly in the UK anyway. So just going to spray a little bit on my top here. Just give it a smell, see what I can detect. Well, it's definitely not a Versace Eros Clone. If it's meant to be, it certainly doesn't feel like that at all. If you've smelled Versace Eros before, it's kind of this nice mint vanilla combination, very much suited towards clubbing. This one's kind of got a bit of a, maybe it's coming through a little bit now. There's maybe a bit of greenness, a little bit of sweetness, but there's nothing strong about this one at all. Actually, this is very nice. It's not a good start to my review, is it? It smells of nothing. How can I explain that? It's almost like, you know, like a surface cleaner. Say you've got like a dirty kitchen counter and you spray that on it, and it sometimes has a little bit of a scent to it, but it smells a little bit like cleaning still. You can tell it's not a fragrance you're going to put on your skin. It's a little bit like that. It's really not very pleasant. There might be a bit of woods in this, just kind of smoothing off the edges. It's not too harsh or aggressive. It's very tame, actually, if anything. But there's nothing there. It's very, very weak. It's anything but a hero at the moment, but I'm really looking forward to giving this one a review anyway today, and hopefully it can change my opinion. Now, I've had this before. I did a Rome Pour On, which was another fragrance or body spray I did yesterday. Wasn't a huge fan of that, and by the end I absolutely loved it. Maybe this one will develop over time. So what we're going to do, we're going to go out for a run, and we're going to do the first 2 categories: price slash value for money and its versatility, so how much you can use it in different situations. Please prove me wrong today. Please prove me wrong. Initial impressions, they're not good. We are off, and it is the start of another review, and yeah, this might be a new record today, not for the best scores but for the lowest scores, because I have to say my initial impressions of this haven't particularly changed. I promise I didn't wake up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. This is not good, but we will start with price slash value for money then for Hero. So there's sort of online prices if you're looking on eBay for this one. This 35ml travel spray that I've got, it's kind of between that £5 to £7 range. And you can get these in sort of 100ml bottles as well, and that's kind of nearer that sort of £10 mark. Now, I've always said in pretty much every video I've done before, if you're paying, say, £10 for a fragrance, you can't really feel ripped off because it's so cheap anyway, and your expectations then aren't going to be particularly high. This is the first time I'm going to have to say the opposite of that. This smells of absolutely nothing. Now, I wore this coat yesterday, and I put a bit of yolk log on it as well because it got a little bit damp, and I can still smell that. But on my top underneath, which is obviously where I applied the fragrance, there is nothing. There is absolutely nothing there at all. You would get just as much from this if you rubbed a cream on your skin that's not even scented, or, to be honest with you, just showered, use some nice decent quality shower gel from Lush. You get just as good performance. You notice it. there is nothing here. If someone said to you, oh, what are you wearing? You go, oh, there's nothing there, I can't smell anything. And for someone who's sprayed quite a bit there, you know, I sprayed 10, 11 times, which would be more than most people do, you'd expect something, you know, you'd expect to detect some sort of note. So it just feels like I've literally sprayed water on my top and there's nothing else to it. You know, even if this had a note breakdown, which I could have found earlier, it wouldn't have added anything anyway, because, you know, whether there was vanilla in it or cardamom or mint or whatever would have been in it, you wouldn't smell it anyway. So it's pretty much redundant having a note breakdown, because the performance on this is shocking, which I know we'll get into later on anyway. But why am I going to spend £10 for something that smells of absolutely nothing? Even if I'm someone who's not interested in fragrances, I wouldn't do that. Save your money with this one. Go and get a body cream even, or a shower gel that's quite strong over this. So for that reason, I'm going to be really harsh to start with. Price/value for money, 1 out of 10. Wow, this is another side to Harry today. He's not being very nice, is he? But I've got to be completely honest here. You know, so far, there's absolutely nothing I can talk about. It's literally like I've just come out for a run without anything on. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. This could have been a hand sanitizer, to be honest with you. Even in the opening, as I said to you earlier, it kind of just smelled like a surface cleaner that had a bit of perfume in to make it smell half presentable. But it's still a surface cleaner, you know, and it's still ultimately being used to make something less stained or, you know, a little bit more shiny. It's got other products in. And it almost just feels like when you have toilet sprays and surface cleaners, essentially what they kind of do, they have the perfume in, but it almost just masks the bad smell rather than actually smelling nice in its own right. And to be honest, that's kind of what it's like with this one. You get a sort of faint hint of perfume originally and then it's gone. So when we're talking about versatility next, I don't really know what I can rank it on. You're not going to dress this one up, to be honest with you. The only time I think I would potentially have this, and maybe this is what it should just be for, is just literally just to throw my gym bag to get me from that gym session to getting home. But even then, I might as well just not apply a fragrance. You know, it's going to make no difference. I'd only put this on basically if there's nobody around with me. Maybe wear it to bed potentially, because again, you don't want anything too strong going to bed, because it might wake you up in the night. But other than that, there's no real use for this one. I still wouldn't have it anyway. But that's the only two situations, just kind of casual wear, where I'm not mixing with anyone. Because this isn't going to stop you from smelling. This isn't going to make you smell nice. And for that reason, I just can't see. You're not going to meet up with friends. This is a job interview. It's not going to get you through those situations. Get a body spray over this even. Versatility, I'll give it an extra point then for this round. 2 out of 10, just because I think it's okay if you're just, again, using it to get yourself home from the gym. Maybe just quickly running to the shops to get some milk. And maybe just, you know, as a little bed spray. Other than that, though, there's no use for it. And at the moment, I think it's going to do well to get me through this run, that's for sure. When we get back, we will talk about projection and how much, or how little, as you can probably guess, I've noticed it during my run. I may have to just cancel this review at this rate. What is going on? So workout done, it is now time to spray my room to test for projection. So you haven't seen this before. Essentially, I want to see how much this fragrance fills up a room. If a colleague came in, you know, in an office, if this was an office environment, if this is at home, does a family member, does a friend notice it? We'll do 10 sprays of this one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to spray miles. This is the test for longevity. I'm going to do 4 on each side. It's just gone about 9:15. So essentially about 3 hours time when I leave the gym, I want to see if I can still detect this fragrance. At this rate, I don't even think I'm going to notice it by the time I get to the gym. But let's head downstairs and yeah, we'll talk about how much I noticed that projection during my run. I'm putting it away now because, yeah, this is not going to get a good score today. Oh, very welcome that, I have to say. But actually, that was a good run for me today, considering there was barely any fragrance to notice. Yes, I didn't notice it once in terms of projection for this fragrance, for Hero by Fragrance Kingdom. Now, what I would say is I've sprayed it on my arm, obviously just before I did the longevity test, and I'm now getting that Eros DNA, so I'm pretty confident this is a bit of a Versace Eros clone, because there is a bit of mint there. But this is what I'm going to say, and this is why I never say this, because fragrances are subjective, but I'm going to say this is actually just a bad fragrance, because I sprayed it on a second ago, had this nail varnish type vibe, Then you've got this tiny bit of Versace Eros smell, that mint vanilla combination. But then by the time you try to smell it again, it's all but gone. It is all but gone. It's rubbish. It's really rubbish. And at the moment, it's going to get another 1, I think, at the moment. But we'll see if it fills up a room. It's not going to fill up a room, but I'll have my coffee. I'll head upstairs and we got to give a score someplace. Maybe it'll surprise me. Maybe that vanilla will stick in the air more than I think. Not getting my hopes up. Okay, so up we go. I may actually have to put on, for the first time ever doing a review, another fragrance to get me through this gym workout, just because I don't want to smell after my run. And I genuinely don't think this one's going to offer me anything, but let's see if it's got any room fitting ability. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. I'm not even going to give it a 1. I'm going to give it a 0 out of 10. There is nothing about this in terms of projection. So why does it deserve a point? This is harsh Harry today, but there's nothing. There's not even a drop or a hint of fragrance or whatever, you know, whether that's on my top, whether that's in the room. You might as well just drown yourself in water and just have a shower, because it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic, this one. 0 out of 10. We've got to talk about compliment factor on the way now, haven't we? So yeah, we'll talk about compliment factor on the way to the gym. So can it get compliments? I don't know what to say. I'm actually lost for words here, because I feel like I'm going to be a broken record through this review today, because what is there to say? There's nothing to go on. It's a bit of a rant. Anyway, I'll see you out there. Having to put on a Davidoff Cool Water Clone. Yes, a Davidoff Cool Water Clone to stop me from smelling at the gym. This one is good. See, it puts me in a good mood again. This is what fragrances should smell like. Especially clones. Oh, fresh, clean. Now I can leave for the gym. Okay, so moving on to compliment factor. And look, I'm going to say one thing with this. If you do get a quick whiff of this fragrance, it is actually still quite a nice DNA. Look, Versace Eros DNA is very popular. We know it's out there. It's still around. It's been cloned many times. And even I've got a clone from the Essence sort of it as well, which I am starting to enjoy. It's definitely grown on me. But it does feel like very much blink and you'll miss it. If you were basically sitting here with me now and I sprayed this on my arm, I'd literally go, right, spray. Right, quick. Smell it now before it's gone. Because literally it is like blink and you'll miss it. So in the sense of its actual smell, I think it has potential to get compliments once you let it sort of sit and rest for a second. But of course, by the time you've done that, it's disappeared again. So it's hopefully its performance is going to let itself down in terms of getting noticed at all. Even if someone was intimate with you, just lying on your chest or something you'd sprayed 30-40 times on your top, I don't think it's going to make any difference. I still don't think it's going to be noticeable, and I've still got to mark it down on that. Look, I don't want to overlap the sort of categories too much, but obviously with compliment factor, I've found, just personally from experience, the stronger the fragrance, you do tend to get a little bit more notice with it as well. So I'm going to give, just because the scent DNA is okay on this one, and I have been super harsh so far, we'll go 3 out of 10, and that may be the highest we actually get overall today, because I'm not sure it's going to do too well on longevity. But I'll tell you what, if someone does mention it at the gym, I will give it a 12. I'll bump it up extra 2 points here, 12 out of 10, if anyone notices it. But the problem is, of course, I've sprayed Davidoff Cool Water Clone on my body, the Essence Sport 118, so it's more likely to be that anyway. Let's be honest, it's going to stay a 3 out of 10 for this round. Gym workout done. Finally in the shower. So will the fragrance last? Is it even still there? I'm not going to smell mine though until I've come out of the shower. So yeah, we'll see what this gets on longevity. Fingers crossed it's going to do a bit better. I don't want to be too miserable today. Come on, Harry, smile. I have bad teeth. Okay, so it's just gone 12 o'clock. It's about 8 minutes past 12. It's been about 3 hours now since I applied this fragrance. Can we smell anything? I couldn't really smell it before we went, so I'd be surprised if I can smell anything now. Do you know what? I can't smell anything on my left arm, but on my right arm where I sprayed it, I'm getting it very slightly now. I'm talking 10 to 15% here, no more than that. And look, I've got to be honest, if I hadn't known that I've sprayed it in that exact position, would I be able to detect the fragrance on me at all? Absolutely not. So I think if I sprayed my whole body, I still think it would be in some areas where I've got a little bit warmer, I probably wouldn't detect it. Maybe some areas where maybe, you know, your skin's not as exposed, maybe I may notice it a little bit more, but the performance is pretty poor, but a lot better than maybe I thought it was going to be, considering how poor it's been overall today. So I'm going to be a little bit more generous here, a little bit more generous. It definitely does have that Eros DNA, that vanilla mint combination, but yeah, again, you'd have to be pretty much digging your nose into the exact spot where you've sprayed it, if you can remember where you've applied the fragrance, to detect this. If it was on my neck, where of course I can't bury my nose into it because my nose isn't quite that big, I wouldn't be able to detect it around me at all. So I'm going to give it 3 out of 10. You know, don't buy this because you think it's going to have good longevity. Definitely go and spend a bit more, go and get the original Eros, or go and get one of the Essence clones or other clones out there of this, because this certainly, despite its cheap price, doesn't justify it in my opinion. But what we're going to do, we'll count up all the scores when I head back and have something to eat, and yeah, I can give my overall thoughts then. I think you probably already know them. We are back. Another workout done. It is 2 o'clock, bang on. I have done 43,548 steps, all while wearing Hero by Fragrance Kingdom, the clone, I believe, of Versace Eros. So what was the total score for this fragrance? It's the lowest I've ever given, by probably quite a long way as well. I don't think I've even given one under 20 before, but in the case of this one, I've given it 9 out of 50. That is by far the lowest score I've ever given a fragrance, and to be honest with you, I'm almost going to say it as it is, I don't even think it's a fragrance. That I've said many times, what you like, what you don't like is subjective. You know, just because someone doesn't like leather, for example, you know, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just maybe doesn't suit you as a person. Look, in general, most people do quite like those clean, fresh fragrances, vanillic fragrances, but it's, you know, there's no set rule. You're not right or wrong whether you like them or not. I actually think this one is bad. I genuinely do. When I say it's bad, it doesn't last. It's not particularly strong. It's got a bit of this sort of alcohol nail varnish, cleaner sort of vibe about it when you start with it. And it's just nothing about it that draws you in. You know, there's nothing appealing about it. And again, if this was the only clone of Versace, I still wouldn't buy it. I'd still buy the original, because it's just got no character. There's no love put into it. And look, I'm not expecting that with clones. Let's be honest here. The whole purpose of clones is to save yourself money, and that's why I buy them. I don't think of them as, oh, I'm buying that because I love fragrances or anything like that. They are purely to be worn to replicate that smell for a cheaper price. The original fragrances are the ones that I get that enjoyment more out of, but this hasn't got anything. It really hasn't. You know, I wouldn't buy this even as a gift for someone, even someone who was just getting into fragrances, because there's nothing about it. You just, honestly, I'd just say this now, you might as well go and get a cream or something else and rub on your skin, because it's just going to smell as strong as this one and do a better job of hydrating your skin. There's nothing about this. There's no personality. There's no character. And it's very rare for me to say that, because, as I said, I'm quite happy to go and spend £2.50 on a body spray. That, look, this one is literally £2.50, 250ml, I believe this bottle. Yeah, 250ml from Savers, which is a clone of Sticky Dates. And look, it's not the best fragrance in the world. Again, I'm not setting any high bar here, but it actually smells a little bit, and you can wear it as a fragrance. That one, it's got nothing about it that would draw me into anything, and I certainly wouldn't recommend it. And to be honest, with the the three I think I've reviewed from Fragrance Kingdom now, not really been impressed with any of them, so certainly won't be buying them myself. I do recommend these ones though, if you ever do have a shop in Savers or B&M if you're in the UK, because these are really good. But as clones go and as fragrances go, I have to say those three that I've recently reviewed, three of the worst, and that might be, and I'm actually going to say that's the worst fragrance I've ever had. Or not mine, it is my brother's, but it's the worst one I've ever smelled, just because it's got no love about it. There's one thing saying you don't like a scent, there's another thing actually just saying it's just bad, and that's what this one is. So yeah, sorry that sounds a little bit negative today, but I wanted to be completely honest with this one as well. And yeah, it's no point being positive about something that I just genuinely don't think I could recommend. I just couldn't do it. And I won't be buying it myself. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed this one today, and there'll be plenty more reviews to do. We're going to do a spray off video next time when I have the next day off work. So yeah, hopefully you'll join me for that one. But yeah, thanks for watching today. Catch you later.